Hello, 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 Dr. Brooklyn. Good
Hey,
morning. How are
good
you
morning to
today?
you. I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
Hey, good, good. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me on this podcast. I really appreciate that. I know it's Saturday morning and you're taking the time to do that.
Of
I
course,
really,
anytime. I appreciate you asking me.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oops. Okay, so let's get started, folks. This is going to be fun. Let me introduce the podcast real quick and then we can go from there. How about that?
Perfect.
So, as you may know, I like to interview entrepreneurs, and of course, we have an awesome entrepreneur with us today, Dr. Brooklyn. So, just to give you guys a reminder, the Stunning Entrepreneur is all about celebrating the power of entrepreneurship to transform lives and change the world. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited to explore the entrepreneurial journey of our guest today, from being a biology student to own her on dental practice. So, without further ado, let's welcome our wonderful dentist, Brooklin Byrd, to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you having me, Nestor. I think it's really cool that you are doing this podcast and helping people who want to start their businesses learn more about the process and how exciting it can be and how much work it is. And I think it's really cool.
Yes, thank you for being here again.
Sure.
Hey, why don't we start with your background real quick? Why
Okay.
don't you tell
Sure.
us more about yourself? I know you have
Yeah.
a really interesting story here to share. So,
Yeah.
tell us more about yourself, where are you from, things like that, and we can go
Okay.
from there.
Yeah, you got it. So I'm from the area. I'm from Memphis. Technically, I'm from just outside of Memphis in Mason, Tennessee, home of the original Bozo's Barbecue and Gus's Fried Chicken, which is pretty much all there is out there. It's very rural, but I grew up out that way. My family is in heavy equipment and construction, and so I like to think that that's where I get my fix it mentality. Um, they're always fixing things and working on things hands on, and so dentistry just seemed to fit because that's very hands on. Um, I got into dentistry because I like fixing small parts. I like changing someone's smile. I think that's one of the first things that people notice about you is your smile. And so I think it's really cool to be able to get hands on and actually contribute to first impressions and help people smile. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
So, you were born in Memphis, Tennessee,
Yep.
and then you go to school to Jackson, Tennessee. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah. So I studied biology at Union University
Uh huh.
and minored in chemistry and kind of just wanted to stay local for dental school as well. So I applied to school at UT Dental downtown
Mm-hmm.
and here in Memphis and got accepted. And 4 years later, the rest is history.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
And tell me more about your hobbies. I know you like to travel, and I know
Yes.
you've been in Peru. So tell me
Yes.
more about that trip. I'm very interested about it.
Yeah. So Peru was amazing. Oh my gosh, that's great food. Everything's beautiful. I felt like it wasn't even real. It was so great. I was like, man, this can't be real. So I'd say probably one of the more memorable moments. We went to a wildlife refuge just outside of Cusco, and I was over there, petting animals as one does. And there was this whole little group of alpacas over there, and I was like, let me just go over here and pet these little things. And they handed us some greens to like give them to feed them.
Right.
Turns out that when they're threatened or when they feel endangered, they start to spit. Well, this one little black alpaca was up there and I was like feeding it. These others came from nowhere right beside it. It did not like that. And it starts
Wow.
like that
Oh
spit thing.
man.
I ended up with green vegetable matter all over my
Oh.
face from where this alpaca was like being very aggressive. So it wasn't ideal, but I was on this tour with like 30 other people and they just loved it. So I made them smile, I guess, and it's
Right.
just,
That was your goal.
spit. So
Made them smile.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, yeah. And then I just went and got hand sanitizer and just
Oh
wiped it
man.
all over. So
Yeah, I didn't know that alpacas were very territorial.
they are.
Oh
And
man.
I'm here to tell you. So
Yeah. Wow. So how
it was
about
great.
food?
Oh my gosh, the
Did you have
quinoa.
any good experience
Oh, all the
at
good
Buffalo?
experiences. Like everything was so good down there. I can't even think of a single bad dish that I had. And even like I wasn't feeling great one of the days, and so the guide made me like some chicken soup, which
Mm.
actually just turned out to be like homemade chicken, like actual chicken with quinoa and vegetables, and
Oof,
it was like the best thing I've ever had. So even chicken soup down there is on a different level. So it
that's
was
good.
awesome. I really enjoyed my time.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you're going back to Peru one day?
Any day, all day. Just let me know when. Let's go
Exactly.
now.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's
So
really fun.
how about golf?
Yeah, so I love to play golf. I play golf all the time. Um, I recently got back from a trip. I played golf 4 times last week. Went on vacation to Branson, Missouri, and I like to say that I play at golf because I'm not particularly great at it, but I really enjoy it. So just being outside and playing around. So
Right.
yeah,
What I heard about that sport is that it's a good way to connect with people, to
that's also true.
network.
Oh yeah. Yeah, a lot of business people love golf, and in fact, the Bartlett Chamber has a yearly tournament that they just had last week while I was on vacation, unfortunately.
Uh-huh.
Usually I'll play in that. And it's a good time to meet people and hang out and like I said, I mean, you can't take it too seriously because I mean, I don't get to play very often. That was a
Hmm.
huge anomaly last week. I'll play maybe 3 times a year.
Hmm.
But it's a fun way to get in touch with people and just casually talk. You're in a group of like four at max, and so you kind of
Hmm.
network. It's like a more intense networking.
Right.
Yeah, it's a good way to meet
That's
people for sure.
right. So that's good.
Yeah,
So how do you get involved with the community here in Ballet?
good question. So, a couple of ways. I am involved in the Bartlett Chamber of Commerce, and they have a
Uh-huh.
lot of really great events. They've got monthly or every other month luncheons, depending. They have a perk before work event, and
Hmm.
that's actually where we met, Nestor. And so I
Yeah.
think it's a great opportunity for networking.
Right.
And you just kind of meet business owners in the area. And then the other way that I engage, I just go to these local businesses and support them
Hmm.
consistently because I think supporting local is really important and it's impactful in your community. So I know a lot of the restaurateurs around here because I eat out a lot and, just forming those relationships too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, I mean they definitely have really good networking events,
Hmm.
and I usually don't go because I'm working.
Of course.
But right,
That inconvenient truth.
exactly. But
Yeah,
when they do this before work, that's definitely helpful.
exactly.
Okay, cool. Well,
So
thank
true.
you for sharing your story.
Of course.
So why don't we go over the business overview now?
Okay.
So you went to school,
Hmm.
you got your biology degree,
Hmm.
and then you went to get your PhD. Is that correct?
So it's technically a DDS degree. It's a Doctor of Dental Surgery.
Uh-huh.
It's it's the PhD of dentistry, if that makes
Okay.
sense.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
You can
Right.
also have a PhD in dentistry, like a academic thing, I believe. So,
Uh-huh.
but DDS is actually the medical degree that's conferred.
Medical degree. Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess the question that I have is, how was the transition? Going from a student to own your own practice. What
Yeah.
inspired you to start your own business?
Yeah. Good question. So, um, I was actually an associate first in West Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
So for the first year and a half after I graduated, I was working for an established doctor in West Memphis, Arkansas. And so I learned a lot in that experience, of course. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of watched how he did business, watched how he did dentistry, watched how he interacted with his staff. Learned a lot, but I was ready to have some more leadership.
Mm-hmm.
I was ready to set my schedule and kind of set my own practice philosophy, kind of have things the way that I was thinking. And so um, I actually Googled dental practices for sale near me
Mm-hmm.
and got connected with a brokerage agency, and they had some practices for sale. And so I just started looking. Um, and I happened to find one in Bartlett and met Dr. Fennern, and uh, the rest is history. We got along really, really well from the start. A lot of my colleagues, the practices that they'll purchase are existing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we talked a little bit about how, you can either do a startup where you just, from the ground up, you build
Hmm.
the building and you have no patients to start with and you just do your own thing. And a lot of people like that because you can set the philosophy and the vision at the outset and control
Hmm.
everything, which is
Hmm.
great, and that's fine. I wanted to have an established patient base where I could just walk in, have an income stream already, because I really like stability.
Hmm.
Um, so, and then basically after you acquire it, then you kind of shape things, update things, change things the way that you want them to be. Um, so the good news about my transition, when I met Dr. Fenner, like I said, we hit it off, and I told him, hey, I want to get a feel for this practice before I purchase. Can I come follow you around for a day,
Hmm.
kind of check things out, see how the culture of your practice is, see how you interact with patients, and see if this would be a practice I'd be interested in purchasing, because you get a variety of practices. You can
Exactly.
imagine every dentist has a different personality. So I actually met the staff before I purchased. Um, I uh, ate lunch with them, answered their questions, kind of got to know them in the practice before I even made an offer, which I
Hmm.
think is really important. And that's a piece of the equation that a lot of my colleagues miss when they buy the practice. Usually it's on the back end after the purchase is done. Then the owner doctor says, hey, by the way, I sold the practice. Bye. Here's this new person. And the staff is like, who just took your practice? And it's like a weird like transition. So I wanted to be upfront, honest, and straightforward. That's how I do business, and that's how I wanted to do this transaction that's super important. Um, so from there, I just started updating things, and the staff has been putting up with me since then, and they're all really great. I've retained the original staff, and everybody's been really, really helpful in kind of transitioning this with this brand new person. Um, Dr. Fenner was in his 70s,
Hmm.
and obviously he was a male dentist, and so it's kind of different, transitioning to a female younger dentist.
Hmm.
So that was an interesting transition, but everybody's been really great with it, and like I said, it's been a positive experience. So
Sounds like
it's been
that.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned something really interesting here.
Hmm.
Before you do business with someone, you have to build a relationship, and that's
Right.
what you did. So you
Exactly.
didn't. I mean, the good thing about this practice was that they allow you to be there.
Oh yeah.
To get familiar with the process, to meet
Yeah.
the staff and everything.
Yeah, and that's the same way that I approach dentistry in general, because like, I mean, again, my parents are in heavy equipment and construction work.
Hmm.
I had no idea about dentistry. I just liked my orthodontist.
Hmm.
And he was a cool guy and he seemed to like what he did. And I was like, well, why do you do this? He's like, I like to put tiny pieces together and I like to get to know patients over their lifetime. And I was like, well, that sounds great. So um, I actually went and shadowed him at his
Hmm.
office in high school. And I shadowed a
Hmm.
few other dentists in high school. And then in college, I built up some shadowing hours. So I wanted to know what I was getting into before I got into it. And I think that's a huge part before you purchase the practice, before you purchase any business, like
Hmm.
go check it out. And sometimes business owners that are established are uncomfortable because they don't want the staff to know that they're selling, or like it's
Hmm.
like this weird covert thing. But I don't think that's the way to do it. It's much more straightforward. It's easier for the staff. It's more honest, I think, if you just have that conversation and say, "Hey, look, you know, here's what I'm thinking about, and this person's thinking about coming in, and let's just show them how we do business." So,
Hmm. No,
yeah.
that's good. That's good. Definitely, that's definitely good advice for those who want to buy a new practice.
Yeah. Or even entering a new industry. If you're like, I
Hmm.
wonder how I would like, I don't even know, just pick an industry. I wonder if I would like owning a restaurant. Well, then
Hmm.
go follow someone who owns a restaurant for a day. Like, figure out
Hmm.
if you'd like it. I think
Get
it's,
familiar with the process and
yeah.
everything.
Oh, yeah.
That
Because there's a
that's
lot
definitely
behind the scenes too.
yeah, that's definitely good advice.
Yeah.
Okay, so you didn't start from zero. You
Right.
already have you already had clients. So
Yeah.
this was back in 2019, as far as I remember.
Right. December of 2019. Yeah.
And then after a few months, we
Yes.
got
Something
this
happened.
this and maybe you're not familiar with this, but it was called COVID.
What's that? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
So how was the transition? I mean, you were ready to to work hard and make it work, and then suddenly we have to stop.
Oh yeah, so it
How
was it
was it?
was not ideal timing. I
Hmm.
talked to Dr. Finner, and actually, he's been in contact with me since I purchased the practice. He's a friend of mine, and I really
Hmm.
like that. Um, he texted me after the government was like, you've got to shut down everything, for like 4 to 6 weeks. He texted
Hmm.
me and he's like, do you feel like you've been snake bit? Like, what, do you really, are you glad you did this? And I was like, well, it is what it is because I'm in it now. So I made the most of that time. Uh, when you buy a new practice, you don't know what you don't know yet.
Hmm.
Um, and there were a lot of processes that I thought could be fine-tuned, or paperwork that could be fine-tuned, or um, organizationally, supplies like organized, update the fixtures here in the office. There was a lot I could do.
Hmm.
So I used that time to paint. I used that time to get started on new flooring. I used that time to organize paperwork and patient care sheets. Um, just basically reorganizing the structure because
Hmm.
that was all I could do. Obviously, I
Hmm.
wasn't seeing patients except for emergencies.
Hmm.
Um, and that was a very limited number. We'd see maybe 2, 3 patients a week, and that was
Hmm.
just, um, it was weird for sure.
Oh yeah,
But
definitely for
dentistry,
everyone. It was crazy.
oh yeah. But dentistry is kind of it's always been an industry that is PPE heavy. In other words, we've always had masks, we've always had glasses, we've always had gloves, we've always had the jackets. Like it's nothing new under the sun in dentistry to be overly cautious.
Hmm.
Um, I can't think of a single article or a single time where I've heard of a respiratory disease being spread from a dental office. And I think that speaks highly to the fact that we have a lot of aerosols that are
Hmm.
generated, water, spit, everything. But we contain those really well. We've got all the precautions. So it was really just reevaluating what we'd already been doing, recalibrating, and just making sure that we're sticking to those standards because we're
Hmm.
we're already a very safe industry and already a very cautious industry.
Hmm.
So just again, making sure that we're on those standards and making sure that that's all good. So once we
Right.
did that, people were kind of hesitant to come back in, as with everywhere, but everyone was understanding of it, and we made it. And so we stayed, steady. I wouldn't say busy at first, but we stayed
Hmm.
steady and enough to keep plodding along, and we're doing well. So it was just a season, as for everybody. So we made
Exactly.
it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then tell us more about your target market.
Yeah. So target market is a difficult thing to nail down for a general dentist because we see everybody. I saw a 1-year-old the other day for a basic knee-to-knee exam where I just check everything out, make sure everything's developing normally. I see a 100-year-old person. It's not necessarily like a target market. It's anybody who's passionate about their oral health, who wants to maintain their smile for a lifetime. I love working with you. Like, let's do this. So it's hard for me to say this is my market, but really it's
Hmm.
just everybody. So that's
E- e-
exciting. That's one of the best things about dentistry is you see everybody.
yeah. And everybody that is around the area in Bartlett, Tennessee.
Yes, yes. We've got people who commute from out of town even to come see us, but
Wow.
primarily I would say within the Bartlett community. One
Hmm.
of my goals is to be the Bartlett dentist. So, if you
Hmm.
think dentistry in Bartlett, I'd love for you to think of our office.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
And then this drives me to my other question here,
sure.
because we have competitors, right? It's
Yeah, oh
just
yeah,
that's life. That's how businesses work.
very true.
So how do you differentiate your business from other businesses? What
Good
is your
question.
what is your differentiator? What makes you different?
Right.
Hmm.
So I've had a lot of discussions about this with my dental colleagues actually, because
Hmm.
in my area, just in like a 3 square mile region here, there are so many dentists. Like, it's
Hmm.
crazy. But everyone has their own different philosophy. I don't view it as direct competition. I think viewing it as competition is kind of a dangerous mentality because then you start being cutthroat and like it doesn't foster a network. I think it's more
Hmm.
important to think about different personalities instead of competition, because the way that I do my practice is completely different than someone who does practice next door. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, Everyone's personality is different. Everyone's treatment philosophies are different. And so I always joke, you ask 5 different dentists about one tooth, you'll get 5 different treatment plans. So it's just, it depends on your views, and I don't view it as competition necessarily, but I would say that what differentiates my practice is I try to make everything super personal and tailored to each patient. So, depending on what you're wanting for your smile, we can tailor things that way. I'm not going to say, here's what my plan is and here's what we're doing. It's very personalized, and I try to focus on a family environment. In other words, when you walk in, I want you to feel warm. I don't want you to feel anxious. Dentistry is stressful enough. Let's be real. No one wants to come see me professionally, okay? If you do, I'm like, are you okay? But I want to make it easy. I want to make it less annoying for you to come. I want to make it fun and as much as I can, anyway, considering the circumstances. So, I do my best to make dentistry a place where you can, or here at my office, a place where you can laugh and, know that you're in good hands and know that you're
Right.
cared for and loved.
Yeah.
So
And
that's one of the differentiators for sure.
definitely that's good.
Yeah.
So my wife is always complaining about going to the dentist for cleaning because she doesn't like it. The sound, there is something there. I mean, it doesn't matter which, dentist. She says, no,
It's true.
I don't want to go over there.
Yes. Well,
You
and
know,
I always joke, dentistry is barbaric. It's it's not like I said, it's not one of those like, yeah, I can't wait to go. But I always joke and say I'll call you when it's less barbaric because it's just one of those things. It's like, oh my gosh, but we're going to try to make it as easy as we can and give you all the tips that you need to make it less barbaric next time we see you. In other words, we want to make sure that your every experience is as comfortable as it can be and
right.
try to meet you in the middle somewhere.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there was
I
something that
empathize with your wife.
yeah, that was something that I thought about. Well, that's true. I mean, it's not fun to have a cleaning, but you have to have it. You know,
Yeah.
if you don't do
Yeah.
it, you're gonna be in trouble.
Very true. Very true.
Good.
Yeah.
So we talk about the challenges you had
Mm-hmm.
during COVID
Mm-hmm.
and how you overcome it.
Mm-hmm.
So let's touch base a little bit about that. So you said during this time, we had to stop doing basically our work.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of seeing patients, you started working on your basically in your paperwork, something about remodeling your office. Tell us more about that.
Yeah.
I'm just
So,
curious about how you wore a lot of
yeah.
hats during that time.
Yeah, so a common misconception is that it takes a lot of money to remodel,
Mm-hmm.
and it does to a point. But if you do the work yourself, you can save a lot, but it does require a lot of time. So the good news
Mm-hmm.
was over those 4 to 6 weeks, I had nothing but time. The bad news is over those 4 to 6 weeks, I had nothing but time. So I I got to work. I had a list of things that I wanted to do to the practice, and I just checked as many of those off as I could. So, like the inside of the windows had these weird panel things. I ripped those off. My office needed to be painted. I did that. I ripped up some carpet. I
Wow.
painted some trim. Anything that could be done, I was doing it because I was trying not to climb the walls because I was so bored and I was like, oh, this is awful. So, and the last thing you want is to get started with your business and then be told, nope, you got to stop. So, you know, it was an experience. But like I said, and I was kind of fine tuning some old paperwork, just kind of modernizing things um, and going from there.
Right. So
Yeah.
that's definitely a good experience to share with everyone here
Oh, yeah.
because if you want to start your own business, people might think, I need to hire this person to do this. I need
Right.
to hire this person to do the other thing. And then I need to
Hmm.
hire this person to do this.
Yeah. And you
So,
can, but it costs a lot of money. And if you can
exactly.
do some of that work on the front end yourself, it saves you a lot on the back end. And I mean, I'm no cabinetry expert, so I did get someone to come in and do cabinets for us eventually.
Hmm.
But I was able to do all the painting and the prep work and the caulking and all that on the back end and front end and all that myself so that I could save.
Impressive.
Um, and entrepreneurs, you don't need to be afraid of getting in and getting your hands dirty or doing what needs to be done.
Hmm.
Um, I always tell my staff, you do the job that needs to be done to get the job done. So we're all pitching in all the time, running around and doing what needs to be done. There's nothing too small, there's nothing too big. Let's get it done.
Hmm. So where do you get the ideas from to start remodeling your practice, for example? I'm just
Well,
curious.
good question. So I am a kind of an HGTV nerd. So I got a lot of the stuff myself, just from watching copious amounts of HGTV. But also, my mom is really involved in the practice here too. She helps out and does some of our
Behind the
books.
scenes.
Yes, exactly. So she's in the construction industry, but she does the
Mm.
books, for a construction company. And so, she's able to help me with my accounts payable and stuff like that, and help me with the books. So God bless her. But she kind of came in and kind of helped me, like, take a critical look at, like, the lobby. That was one of the first things we did, actually, because when you walk in a practice, it sets the tone for the whole visit. Like, how do you feel walking in?
Hmm.
So I asked myself, how do I feel walking in? And so some things needed some love. So, we changed the carpet. It was like a green carpet, which,
Hmm.
wasn't doing it for me. So we switched that to a one of those, luxury vinyl tile or luxury vinyl plank, whatever it is, like the vinyl flooring that's waterproof and really easy to clean and looks nice. So that was step one. And then I consulted with a friend of mine at, a furniture place just down the way, Haverty's.
Hmm.
Pat helped me out there a lot, and, we kind of got some new furniture for the waiting room and stuff, just to make it feel welcoming. And that was right after COVID that I did that,
Hmm.
because I was like, I want to make sure that this feels welcoming. So I planned all that during COVID as well, kind of like how I wanted to move forward, what were the next steps for the remod and update, because you don't want to overextend yourself, but you
Hmm.
also want to keep improving. Um, I didn't take home much that first year at all. It was all just going right back into the business.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, I
Reinvest.
had enough to live on, but I'm reinvesting. Yeah, they always say the best investment you can make is in yourself. But it is
Hmm.
true, especially with a starting business, because you want to make sure that patients, when they walk in, or customers, when they walk in, they can feel what you want them to feel walking in. You don't want them to walk in and be like, oh no, what is this? So,
Hmm.
not that they were, but it's just, it was a different feel than I was going for, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah,
it needed to be updated a little. So,
that's good.
yeah.
So connections, relatives are also helpful.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Good. I know we talk about the accomplishments that you had,
Mhm.
but is there a successful project, a different one? I know you have worked a lot,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
accomplishment that you are particularly proud of.
Um, Actually, one of the things that's most exciting to me lately,
Hmm.
the University of Tennessee Dental School, where I went to dental school, has a cosmetic dentistry study club. So for
Hmm.
students who are interested in a high level of dentistry, like making things look ridiculously natural and nice, and
Hmm.
just pristine, um, I was asked to be the dentist mentor for that. So
Hmm.
I've actually been, like, helping organize their speakers and stuff, and advising them on cosmetic dentistry stuff. And so that's really exciting for me, like helping to advise the next generation of dentists.
Hmm.
That was always a club that I was involved in, that when I was in school, and I really enjoyed it. And so being able to give back to that is really exciting for me. So being a mentor to them is fun. Um, I've gotten involved with the, Tennessee Dental Association recently. I'm on the board of dentistry there at the Tennessee Dental Association. And I'm the new dentist committee chair. And new dentist is defined as within 10 years of graduation or less. So it's
Hmm.
kind of like coordinating efforts between the TDA and new dentists as they come out, to kind of welcome them into the organization, so that dentistry has a voice on the national level, on the local level, and making sure that everyone has a good network of dentists that they can refer to.
Hmm.
Um, because dentistry can be kind of lonely. We're all a bunch of little practices just kind of down the street, even though we're all, like, literally in 3 square miles right here. Like I said, it's like
Hmm.
we have our own little islands. So, um, if you have a question, or if you're like, I'd like to talk about this case with somebody, it's nice if you have a network of friends and a network of people. So
Right.
I'm really happy I'm involved with the Tennessee Dental Association and the Memphis Dental Society. So, uh,
That's good. Is it
yeah.
based here in Memphis?
Yeah, so the Tennessee Dental Association is based out of Nashville,
Nashville. Okay.
and the Memphis Dental Society is based here in town.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's like I said, they're good organizations, and lots of good people who genuinely care about their patients and want to help out. So,
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely a good thing.
yeah.
So you talk about mentorship,
Yeah.
and I like that the word
Yeah.
mentorship.
Oh yeah.
So how impactful is mentorship to improve your career?
Oh gosh, it's incredibly important. So, if you know me for more than a few minutes, you'll realize that I'm a nerd. Uh, I really love learning. I am always trying to go to all these dental courses. My staff always roll their eyes because they're like, okay, what course you going to this weekend? So it's a good thing. Um, but continually learning is really important. And the best way to do that is to find people you look up to or find people that are in your industry and doing things well. Again, I'm going back to what I said earlier. Go shadow them, go follow them around. Like that's what I've done. Some of them will put on courses. There are a few of my cosmetic dentistry mentors that have done courses and whatnot, and I've gone to that, and it's changed the way that I practice. Like as soon as I come back from the course, I'm like, okay, here's a new vision for us. Here's a new way we could do this thing that we've been doing for, years now, but here's a way to do it better and easier for everybody. Um, Mentorship is incredibly important because, like I said, I mean, if you don't have a goal to strive toward, it's difficult. And having a mentor helps you set those goals because you have somebody to look toward and be like, aha, I want to be more like that, or like I want to do things slightly different. And I think it's incredibly important.
Hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah. So do you have, or what is your advice for those who are looking for a mentor? Because we have virtual mentors, like you said. Maybe someone who wrote this book is
Yeah,
my mentor because I'm following the advice, but that's not a physical mentor. You know what I'm saying?
exactly.
So I think that's something that we are having even more now with this,
Hmm.
with this change after COVID.
Oh, yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that?
Good question. So,
To have
it,
mentors virtually, I guess that's my point.
yeah, yeah, that's a good question. So,
Hmm.
I still think the best way to establish mentorships is in person,
Hmm.
if you
That's,
can.
that's a good point.
Establishing them, to clarify,
Hmm.
establishing the mentorship in person, I think assigns more value on both sides. I can't tell you how many people I've met in person that I'll email later and they'll be like, yeah, I remember you from that course. How are you doing? And here's my advice on this.
Hmm.
Um, I think it's important to do that. But if you can't, like, I mean, obviously, if they're in a different country and you're like, hey, it is nice to be able to email them or contact them somehow. There are even like Facebook groups for dentistry where you can get on, and I can't tell you how many really great mentors are active on those.
Hmm.
There are Facebook groups for just about every industry. And so if you get on there and kind of like get plugged in, you don't even have to post. I never post on those things, but I learned so much just by looking at like how other people are doing things.
Hmm.
Um, and they are the people who are on there commenting and on there sharing their knowledge want to do that. They're not just doing it for like, show. So it means something to them when you reach out to them too. So I think a lot of industries you're able to go on Facebook even and be like, group for such and such, or like, Google. It's all kinds of resources out there, and it's like I said, people who post on there are looking for you to engage with them because they want to help. They want to grow their industry or they want to be helpful in that industry.
Hmm. No, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So we mentioned that you went from a student to on your own practice,
Hmm. Hmm.
and you have been learning a lot. So
Hmm.
what I'm seeing now is that you want to be ahead of anyone. So that's
Oh
good.
gosh, yes.
I
I'm super competitive. Yes.
Yes, I see that. And then here's my question, because now you're a manager, you're an owner, you own a business.
Hmm.
So what have you learned about leadership and management while running your business?
Yeah. So I've learned it's a full-time job. And by full-time job I mean it's more than a full-time job. It is follow you home. Stay up late at night thinking about this. It is like follow you into the weekend. You'll be like trying to have fun somewhere and a thought will just pop in. You'll be like, "Oh man, I've got to do that when I get back," and you'll write it on your to-do list. Like it's my staff always jokes that my to-do list never gets any shorter, and that's pretty true. Um, the way that my brain works, I have like three different to-do lists, one
Mm.
for home, one for office, and then one that's like an ideal. So in other
Hmm.
words, like I have one note that's like features of ideal office, and that's like goals for future. I
Hmm.
have one that's to do at the office, which is like now, this is what we need to start doing. And then I have one to do at home that's like you need to get a new door handle for that door. So it's like kind of categorizing things in that way helps my brain process it, because without a system of organization, it's a
Mhm.
lot. And doing dentistry is kind of interesting in that your boots on the ground 8 hours out of the day that you're here, you're doing dentistry. There's no time for paperwork. There's no time for managing the business side of things except on the fly.
Mhm.
So all the business stuff has to be done after hours. It's a commitment. It really is. And in any entrepreneurial journey is going to be a commitment like that, because at least my view of business, it's a piece of you. This is my baby. So
Mhm.
it's, it takes a significant investment of not only energy but time. So it's definitely something to enter into cautiously. If you don't have time, I mean, you got to make time, because you don't want to start a journey and then half bake it. So I go all in. And to do that, like I said, I have just like a really meticulous system of organization. My calendar is booked out months in advance. I am regimented, but you have to be in some regards, especially in this industry, because like I said, when you're here at the office, you're doing dentistry. Um, when you're not at the office, you're probably still doing something to do with the business. So, and it's important to schedule, not only is it important to schedule like actual business stuff, but also time to relax, because it is
Mhm.
overwhelming at times. So I do actually schedule my relaxation time. So, you got to do what you got to do. And that's how my brain works. So,
Yeah, yeah. You mentioned something really interesting for any entrepreneur,
uh-huh.
because it's easy to get involved in your business
Hmm.
and then forget about your family
Yes.
and other priorities
Oh gosh, yes.
like
Yes.
health.
Yes.
So
And Nestor, you've got a family, and so I think it's really cool that you're still doing all this, because like you've got your juggling going on, and I think like that's awesome. I really
yeah,
admire that.
it's definitely a lot of work,
Yeah.
and I would like to hear your advice here based on your experience. How do you prioritize? You have to prioritize work, like you
Yeah.
said, what you're planning on doing in the future, but
Yeah.
also you have to prioritize your health.
Right.
How do you balance that?
Great question. When you figure
Mhm.
out the answer to that, no, I'm just kidding. um, honestly, I find that the best way to keep myself accountable is to involve my friends in the
Mhm.
process. So I will not work out unless I have someone who's waiting on me there to work out. Like I don't enjoy it. I'm not just gonna go out and like exercise or whatever. No, ew. So I do yoga once a
Uh-huh.
week. I'm getting back into dance classes.
Huh.
So, like scheduling this time and having someone keep you accountable for it. Because again, it's easy to slip into this whole like, ugh, I'm so exhausted from the day. Like, I don't want to go do anything. Well, you got somebody waiting on you. You got to go do it. And it's actually better
Right.
for you. So, um, prioritizing your physical health, I think is very important. Um, and then setting aside time for family.
Uh-huh.
Um, I always try, I mean, this is the exception, Nestor. Don't quote me on this. I always try to prioritize weekends for family.
Uh-huh.
Um, I don't like having a lot to do on the weekends. So I stack my weekdays with activities, and then weekends are usually my chill time.
Hmm.
And I try to do the least business possible. Or if I have to do business, I get it over with first part of the weekend if possible.
Hmm.
So that way I don't have to worry as much over the weekend. And occasionally things
Hmm.
will pop up. Patients have emergencies over the weekend sometimes, and that happens, and that's fine. Um,
Or
but
perhaps a podcast.
or perhaps a podcast. Some obscure example like that. Yes, of course, yes. So, but it's something straightforward. And after this, Mom and I are going shopping. So
Hmm.
I think it'll be fun. So got some fun stuff planned today.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
you mentioned about dancing classes.
yeah.
I'm just curious about the type of.
Oh no. So
Is it salsa? Is it Latino
yeah.
music? What is that?
So it's technically it's ballroom dancing.
Ah.
And yeah, so I'm learning tango,
Ah.
waltz, foxtrot, salsa, cha-cha, all that. And it turns
Bachata.
out, yes, of course, yes, yes, yes. And it turns out that I am very embarrassed at my lack of physicality in terms of dancing. So I've got some learning to do. So God bless my instructor. So here we are.
No, but that's good that you're taking the time to learn and have
I'm a
fun.
serial hobbyist, Nestor.
Hmm.
I find hobbies and I just go for it. Like, it's not anything that I'll necessarily stick to for the rest of my life, but it's fun in the meantime and
Hmm.
it gets you active and doing something that puts you out of your comfort zone. So
Hmm.
it's always fun.
That's good.
Yeah.
And then you also mentioned about involving your friends. No, how do you call that? Is it a accountable partner?
Oh, yeah. Accountability partner. Oh,
Accountability
yes.
partner,
Oh,
yeah.
yes. I don't think they know they're my accountability partners, but they definitely are. Um,
Right.
so, any hobby that I'm wanting to do or any activity I'm wanting to do, I try to find a friend that I can involve in it.
Hmm.
Because not only do you make those shared experiences and it makes it more special, but also you learn together, and that's more
Hmm.
fun, and it keeps you, like I said, accountable.
Hmm.
So my friend and I just started an ASL class as well. Like, I mean, I'm just learning all the time about random stuff because it interests me, and I just like learning. So she and I are doing that together. So
It's good.
just again staying busy. It's fun.
I've heard about that, that methodology,
Yeah,
having an
accountability partner.
accountability partner.
Yep,
Yes.
exactly.
Good. Good,
Yeah,
good,
it's
good.
it's it's good.
Okay, so every industry is changing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There are always, new
Hmm.
trends, changes with the industry, and we have to be up to date if we want to be one step ahead
Oh
of
yeah.
our competitors. And I
Oh yeah.
think you're doing a really good job.
Oh, thanks.
So here's my question.
Yeah.
And you already mentioned this before, but if you
Hmm.
can expand that, that would be
Sure.
very, very helpful for everyone. How do
Sure.
you stay up to date with the industry trends and continue to learn and grow as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, good question. So, dentistry is definitely changing.
Hmm.
Every industry is changing. It's becoming way more technologically driven.
Hmm.
I've mentioned that I'm a nerd, so I love CE, and I go take these advanced education courses. I've taken advanced courses in implant dentistry, in bone grafting, in cosmetics, in treatment planning. So that way, you know all the options and you can present all the options and you're able to deliver on those. Um,
Hmm.
one of the main changes in dentistry is that things are becoming more digital. In other words, the planning process and the execution themselves are digital. So, in other words, patients come in, they need a procedure. Let's just say, that you need a crown. It used to be that you would get these goopy impressions that would like fill your mouth and you'd be drooling all over the place and gagging and everything all at once.
Hmm.
Now we've got digital scanning, which is basically a wand that you move around on the teeth. It takes thousands of pictures and makes those pictures into a 3D file that you can literally take the patient's teeth and move them in 3D on the computer. You send that to the lab and they design it with basically AI, like a program. They
Uh-huh.
design your future crown and then they send that back to me after milling it with a computer. So just about everything is computerized now in dentistry, and I think that's really cool. Some practices are even doing that process in their offices.
Hmm.
Um, and AI is on everybody's mind these days. There are certain programs that can interpret your X-rays, your radiographs, um, and tell you how much bone loss you have, what if you have periodontal disease, gum disease, your health of your gums and teeth, just by looking. Like literally, this program reads the images. So it's definitely advancing and it's definitely becoming more interesting, more digitally driven. And I think that's exciting because it makes things more predictable. It makes things easier for patients to understand. It streamlines things.
Hmm.
So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
seems like that AI is huge
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
in
And
every single industry. Yes.
yeah, and being able to show patients, um, this is what your tooth looks like. It's just saying, hey, this tooth is cracked, and the patient's like, okay, whatever, see you later. You can actually say, hey, here's an intraoral camera. I'm going to take a quick picture. You take it, and I've got a computer screen in each op, a TV monitor, and I'll put it up on the TV monitor and say, hey, I just want you to see what I'm seeing, so that way and so patients will be, oh my gosh, that's my tooth, and it's like, okay, yes, this is why I'm concerned. Let's talk about fixing it. So it creates value and it allows you to communicate more easily. Dentistry is a hard industry because patients don't necessarily sit there like, hey, look at this tooth like all day. And so when I come in and I'm like, hey, there's something on that tooth, they're like, meh. But when you can show them, it assigns value and they understand better. And before and after photos are great too. Like if you got
Hmm.
like a chipped front tooth, I fix it and I put the before and afters. We nerd out so much. It's like, hey, look at how cool this is. So it's exciting for all of us. I think it's fun. So
Yeah, and
yeah.
and also people are more visual, so that's good.
Oh gosh, yeah. Especially now. Again, digital is making everybody way more visual than we used to be, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Totally agree with that.
Yeah, definitely.
So we also talk about the prioritization, but
Hmm.
here's another question about that.
Hmm.
How do you prioritize your goals and make decisions for your business?
Good question. So I alluded to those to-do lists.
Hmm.
So I've got my features of ideal office list, and it's kind of a balance between, or at least at the outset, it was kind of a balance between updating the office like cosmetically
Hmm.
and upgrading it technologically. So that's always been the balance for me personally, is like trying to figure out, I want the office to look great, but I don't want it to just look great. I want it to function better and the processes to be more streamlined. So I kind of found a balance between those two. And it's hard to do, but you've also got to see like, how does this return on my investment? Like having the lobby look nice didn't necessarily compute to like, because the lobby looks nice, my revenue will increase by, insert dollar amount here. But it does help patients feel more comfortable, which does translate to increased trust. And that's important too. So it's kind of just updating things as we can. And like I said, at the outset, I wasn't taking much home. I'm still really investing into the practice. That's primarily what the production here goes towards. It's just right back into the practice because I think making it the best is a great reflection on our team. Um, I'm not sure I answered that question, but it's
No.
just kind of like listing things out helps me
Hmm.
organize things
Hmm.
and seeing what returns and balancing that with what doesn't have a direct return is a more responsible business practice than just being like, I'm just going to add these cosmetic upgrades because it's going to look better, which is important. But you want to
Hmm.
also make sure that you're doing the upgrades that actually have a return on them measurably.
Right. Yeah, that's good. And then when you acquire the business,
Hmm.
going back to the business real quick,
Hmm.
when you acquired the business,
Hmm.
so you kept the same staff? Is that what you
Correct. Yeah.
mentioned?
Yeah.
So how is it going?
Ha! So again, I think because I approached it so openly,
Uh-huh.
things have gone really, really well. I feel really lucky to have the team that I do. Um, I've got two hygienists, one assistant, and two front desk. And one of the front desks is also an assistant. So we kind of flip around. We do what needs to be done. We're going all the time. We're busy. Um, but let's see, one hygienist has retired,
Mm.
and the rest is the original team. So it's kind of
Wow.
cool. I've hired one hygienist and one assistant. But it's really cool to just be able to say, it's all of Dr. Finnern's people, and it assigns value to the patients too. They're not just going in and being like, okay, this is my practice, I'm going to fire everybody and start from new. I didn't agree with that. I didn't think that was fair to the staff. So I think that retaining them has actually helped grow the business as well, because patients see that I do care about them. And if I care about the staff, then it translates to me caring about the patients as well,
Hmm.
because I do. And it reads better than being like, everyone's fired, we're starting from new, good luck. So,
Hmm.
and some people
Yeah.
do that, and that just blows my mind. But
Yeah, it's insane.
it's a difference in style.
Yeah, this leads me to my other question,
Hmm.
and this might be a tricky question.
Okay. Oh no.
So, who's first, employees or customers?
Ooh,
I mean,
that's really tricky. That is really
I'm
tricky
just
because the
curious
customer's
about
always
your
right.
perspective. Yeah.
But the team is always going to be there. So I don't know. It's a situation. It's if they always say happy wife, happy life, it's kind of like happy team, happy life. Um, I try to meet in the middle a lot of the time. If there's anything going on, I'm like, okay, guys, let's talk about this. Let's kind of meet in the middle. You got
Right,
to make sure everybody's happy. There's no good answer to this, Nestor. You've trapped me
right.
here. Um,
That's tricky one.
but I just want to make sure that my team always feels safe.
Hmm.
That's priority. Um, and thank God it's a very rare thing that I ever have to say anything to my team or to patients. We have a really great group here in Bartlett. Like Bartlett's such a nice community. I love it here. So
Hmm.
but I always want to make sure that my patients feel safe. I always want
Hmm.
to make sure that my staff feels safe. And if there's ever a discrepancy between any of those things, something's got to go.
Hmm.
So I'm very serious about maintaining a safe and good working environment and also a great patient environment. And like I said, as soon as those don't match, then something's gotta give.
Hmm.
I've been very, very lucky though. Like I said, a lot of great patients and I've got a great team. So
Good.
yeah, I feel really lucky.
Good. Thank you. Thank you for
Yeah,
that
of course.
perspective.
Yeah,
All right. So let's see what else we have here.
sure.
So we are almost done with this awesome interview.
Oh, thanks.
So before we close this, do you have any tips, pieces of advice that you have that you might want to share with the audience about, taking care of your smile? Do you have anything that you would like to share with us? Perhaps
Yes.
three tips, four tips, whatever
Only
you want to
three.
share with us.
Oh, Nestor, I'm
Yes.
really limited here. I was going to
Yes.
take an hour more. No. So, of course, I mean, I'm a dentist, so I'm going to say brush your teeth.
Yes.
One of the most important things is making sure that you're brushing properly. A lot of patients like, and may or may not have a strategically placed toothbrush right here. So a lot of
Hmm.
patients like to brush this way, horizontal, right? That's
Uh,
comfortable, it's
that's
normal.
me.
Yes. Hey, Nestor,
Uh,
this is targeted at you actually.
Man.
But what you want to do is instead of going straight on, angle your brush a little so that
Hmm.
these bristles go right under the gums and circle baby motions. Circle, circle, circle.
Oh.
Instead of sawing. Sawing leads to gum recession. Never a great thing, right? So just circle gentle motions. And if you want to Google a video so that you don't have to look at my face doing weird things, it's called the modified Bass technique. BASS, modified Bass technique. Anyway, so that's what the modern brushing experts are saying. Electric toothbrushes are also fabulous. I like Oral-B.
Mm.
Um, it does some of the work for you. Um, Second thing, flossing. Flossing's really important. You always get fussed at the dentist about flossing. Everyone does. We like you to do it once a day and cupping each tooth as you go in the spaces. Literally like you're scrubbing the sides of the tooth where the toothbrush can't reach. Your teeth are really close together. The floss's point is to get where the toothbrush can't reach. You can be the best brusher in the world and still have stuff between your teeth. So that's why we always fuss about flossing.
Mm-hmm.
Thirdly, before I bore you, Nestor, are you falling asleep right now? Um,
Now this is good. Yeah.
okay, good. And thirdly, coming in for regular checkups with yours truly. Any dentist will advise usually at least every 6-month checkups. We can check your gum health, we can check your teeth, and I, every 6 months, do an oral cancer screening. It's incredibly
Uh,
important to detect and monitor or refer out for um, oral cancer type stuff. Um, if you have advanced oral cancer, it is a very serious issue. So if you have anything interesting on your gums, on your tongue, on your roof of your mouth, anything like that, I want to put eyes on it and I want to get that taken care of or get it examined before it gets interesting. Because, like I said, no one wants cancer. You especially don't want oral cancer. Not to scare you, but I always check things just to make sure that we're staying on the safe side because I don't want anything to be interesting dentally for anyone. So
right.
that's what we always do. So I'd say, again, brushing technique, good flossing, and regular cleanings. Those would be the top three if you had to limit me. But I can go on if you'd like.
Need
Here we
to
go.
need. I need to. I need to improve my brushing technique. Definitely.
Scandal. Scandal, Nestor.
Exactly. So I have another question here,
Sure.
since we are talking about advice. I still have my wisdom teeth. So, I
Sorry.
think I lost you. Yeah.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, awesome.
So the question was, I still have my wisdom teeth.
Oh, yeah.
Is it recommended? How does it work? I mean, in Latin America, we still have it, so I don't know how it
Yeah,
works here.
good question. So if you have room for them and you can keep them clean, they can stay. If they're compromising the health of the teeth in front of them, or if you're having trouble cleaning them, then I say take a hike.
Mhm.
And it's always easier to have them removed at a younger age because healing is
Mm.
always better. As you get older, healing is slower and more difficult, and usually you have more medical conditions as you get older. It's just the way of things. So
Mhm.
I always recommend if there's any question about them at the beginning, go ahead and have them removed. If
Mhm.
not, then I'm good keeping them.
Okay.
And I've got some
So
patients who go their whole lives with them and they're able to keep them clean, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. You've got all your teeth and it's awesome. So I'm not prejudiced against them, but at the same time, I am realistic about them because I want to make sure that you can keep the other teeth clean. And if they're compromising those, then they can take a
right,
hike. Yeah.
that's good to know.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see what we have here. I think we are almost done with this awesome interview.
Sure.
So to summarize this interview, do you have any additional pieces of advice or something to share with our viewers?
Well, I mean, in summary, I think knowing what you're getting into beforehand is always nice.
Mm-hmm.
Shadow if you can in the industry that you want to be in,
Mm-hmm.
because no one's going to know more info about it than someone who has boots on the ground, who has been doing it for a while. I think finding a mentor or someone to look up to or someone
Mm-hmm.
you can ask advice from is always really important. I know that I've appreciated the people that I've learned from, and uh, being able to streamline what you do and not having to reinvent the wheel. Someone's been there before you. Like there's nothing new under the sun. So use that information and let them help you grow. Um, and then, like I said, just know it's going to be a little bit more than a full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
Um, going into it, I didn't realize it would follow me home so much, but it definitely does if you are in it to win it. So
Yes.
it does.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So where can potential clients, customers find your services?
Good question. So we do have a website, drbrooklynbyrd.com. I think you've got it displayed at the bottom of the screen
Mm-hmm.
right now. So that's the best place to go for new patient information. There's a little menu and it says new patients, click here, and then you can go down and see
Mm-hmm.
that information. I've also got helpful oral care sheets on my website. So
Mm-hmm.
if you have any questions about like different bleaching stuff and all that, that's on my website.
Mm-hmm.
We also have an Instagram and a Facebook. It's at Dr. Brooklyn Byrd. And if y'all want to follow us on that, that'd be great. And we
Yeah.
post things and fun stuff and tips and all that so you can stay up to date with the practice. And we are conveniently located in the heart of Bartlett. It's
Uh-huh.
right at Stage and Altruria across from Bartlett City Hall. So my office is one of these little brick buildings, and if you need us, we're here.
Right. Since you talk about Facebook and Instagram,
Yeah.
I saw something really interesting, and I think we touched base on this
Uh-huh.
in the past,
Uh-huh.
in previous conversations.
Uh-huh.
So you guys organize once a year.
Uh-huh.
How do you call it? The ice cream event
Ice
or
cream
something
day.
like that? Okay.
Yes.
Tell
Uh-huh.
us quickly more about that, since
Yeah,
we're talking about
so
social media here.
it does seem kind of paradoxical that your dentist would be having an ice cream truck come out to the office. But we also have toothbrushes on site. So if you want to brush your
Uh,
teeth after your ice cream, there's no ethical dilemma here. But everybody loves
uh-huh.
ice cream. And there's a great ice cream truck here in town that we hire. They're really sweet people, and they come once a year. And we invite all our patients to come by and get a free ice cream cone on us. And it's just a fun time. We had some tables out last year, and we just sat outside and fellowshipped and just hung out. And it was a good time just hanging out with patients and laughing instead of, them coming in to do dentistry. They were just coming out to hang out with us and enjoy some ice cream. So that was really fun. And I think that again feeds into the whole relational aspect of dentistry that we encourage. We're not just here for
Mhm.
your dentistry. We want to be your friend as well. And that's one of our favorite parts is building these relationships. So it's always fun for us to have a little ice cream day, and my staff always cracks up at how excited I am about it. So it's great. And patients are always like, "Is this your third ice cream, Dr. Bird?" And I'm like, "Maybe." And then I go back for more, so it's fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah. No, that's definitely a good practice.
Yeah,
That's,
it's
I,
fun.
I like
Everybody
that
likes
one.
it. And
Yep.
especially people bring their kids too, and
Uh-huh.
that's super fun. So we have a good time.
Yeah, they love ice cream,
Yeah.
definitely.
Oh, yes, obviously.
More
Almost as
than
much as
us,
me.
probably. Yes. Well, Dr. Brooklyn, I really appreciate your time.
Of
Thank you
course.
very much for joining me on this
Yeah.
adventure.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate you as well. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and talk to you later.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Nestor.
Thank you. Enjoy, guys.
All right, thanks.